Hey there. Ready to dive into something pretty fascinating today?
Always.
Well, today we're going to explore the life and work of E.C.G. Sudarshan.
Okay.
He was a renowned Indian physicist.
I've heard the name, but
Yeah, and here's the twist.
okay.
Our main source today is actually a college textbook.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's called Illuminations, Vignettes from Inspirational Literatures.
Okay.
And it's specifically designed for university students in India.
Huh. That's interesting. What makes this textbook such a good source for understanding Sudarshan?
Well, it features this interview compilation called Thus Spoke Sudarshan.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives us a really unique glimpse into his personal reflections and insights,
Right.
beyond just the scientific facts.
Oh, I see. So it's more personal.
Exactly.
Okay.
So why should you care about Sudarshan?
Yeah, why?
Well, he made some groundbreaking contributions to our understanding of particle physics and quantum optics.
Okay.
He even proposed particles that can travel faster than light.
Oh, wow. You mean like tachyons?
Tachyons.
Oh, that's cool. I haven't heard that term in a while.
Yeah, I know. It's a really interesting concept.
What I find really interesting about him is that despite all of this incredible work,
Right.
he was controversially overlooked for the Nobel Prize.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that makes this deep dive so intriguing.
Yeah.
We're not just going to explore what he achieved.
Right.
We're going to explore who he was as a person
Okay.
and what his story reveals about the pursuit of knowledge itself.
I love that. Yeah, I love that angle.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that science is ultimately a human endeavor,
Absolutely.
driven by passion and curiosity and, yeah, sometimes even a bit of controversy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the textbook takes us all the way back to his early life.
Okay.
And we see that his family placed a huge emphasis on education.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and he was clearly a natural at math. He was even teaching himself advanced concepts before they were even covered in school.
Hmm. That's so interesting. That's the case with a lot of really great scientific minds.
Right.
It's like speaks to an inherent curiosity,
Yeah.
that pushes them beyond what's in the standard curriculum.
Yeah. There's this great anecdote about how he was frustrated with a simple pendulum formula
Okay.
in his brother's physics textbook.
All right.
And the book said the proof was beyond its scope,
Mm-hmm.
but he was determined to find it anyway.
Wow. That's persistence.
Yeah. It just goes to show his drive,
Yeah.
to really understand the why behind things.
Right. He couldn't just accept it at face value.
No.
He had to unravel the underlying principles to really understand it.
He wasn't satisfied with just knowing the what.
Right.
He needed the why.
Yeah, he wanted to know why.
Exactly. And this intellectual hunger fueled him as he went on to CMS College and then Madras Christian College, both in Kerala. And the textbook really emphasizes how those experiences really solidified his passion for physics as a way to make sense of the world.
That makes sense. I mean, physics is all about, it gives you this framework for understanding the universe at its most fundamental level. It's
Right.
like a quest to unravel the mysteries of how things work.
Absolutely.
From the tiniest of particles to the vast expanse of space.
And speaking of inspiring mentors, the textbook mentions how Sudarshan's optics professor at Madras Christian College preferred to teach without relying on any notes.
Wow. That's impressive.
Right.
That suggests a deep understanding, and
Yeah.
comfort with the material that allows for a more spontaneous and engaging teaching style.
Right. But here's a funny detail.
Okay.
The textbook mentions that this professor would still carry these little chits in his pocket,
Uh-huh.
and he would pull them out at just the right moment during the lecture.
Oh, that's great. So a cheat sheet
Yep.
to keep things on track.
Exactly.
It's kind of charming,
Yeah.
that even the most brilliant minds sometimes need a little help to stay organized.
Definitely humanizes him a bit.
Yeah.
So, moving on, we learn about his time at the prestigious Tata Institute of Fundamental Research,
Okay.
or TIFR, in India.
TIFR, yeah, a renowned institution.
Yes.
What did his work focus on there?
Well, he was assigned to this experimental cosmic ray group,
Okay.
where they analyzed emulsion tracks to decipher the interactions of these cosmic ray particles.
So the meticulous world of experimental physics.
Right. But here's where things take an interesting turn.
Right.
He admitted to being a bit clumsy in the lab. He struggled with the precise handwork required.
Oh, I can relate to that. Not everyone is cut out for the very delicate, precise movements.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what's brilliant is that he teamed up with a fellow student,
Okay.
Biswas, whose hand was incredibly steady.
Oh, what a perfect partnership. It shows the importance of collaboration, doesn't it? It's like
Right.
different strengths complementing each other
Yeah.
to achieve something remarkable.
And the textbook does a good job of illustrating how their skills combine
Yeah.
to create this powerful model
Right.
for understanding cosmic ray interactions.
It's like one person provides the theoretical brilliance
Right.
and the other one brings the experimental precision.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's a reminder that scientific breakthroughs rarely happen in isolation.
Yeah.
They often emerge from the synergy of different minds,
Absolutely.
different perspectives,
Mm-hmm.
different skill sets.
Yeah. It's like a giant puzzle.
Yeah,
And everyone contributes their own unique piece.
exactly. And while at TFAR, he had this incredible opportunity
Wow.
to work with the legendary Paul Dirac.
Wow. Dirac,
Yeah.
a towering figure in quantum mechanics,
Yes.
known for his groundbreaking equation
Mhm.
describing the electron.
Right.
What an experience that must have been for Sudarshan.
It was certainly an amazing experience for him. So Dirac, despite his reserved personality,
Right.
became a sort of mentor to Sudarshan,
I see.
always
Yeah.
available to discuss his doubts and questions.
That's incredible. Imagine having one of the giants of your field
Right.
as a sounding board for your ideas.
Right. How do you think that relationship shaped his approach to physics?
Well, probably a lot. I mean, he must have picked up some of that
Yeah.
clarity of thought,
Yeah.
and rigor that Dirac was known for.
The textbook seems to suggest that. That mentorship did influence his scientific thinking.
Makes sense. Speaking of clarity,
Yes.
let's delve into one of his key contributions,
Right.
the VA theory of weak force.
Okay, so let's unpack this without getting too technical.
Okay.
Think of the weak force as one of the fundamental forces of nature,
Yeah, right.
and it governs certain types of radioactive decay.
Okay.
The process where an unstable atom releases energy
Hmm.
and particles and changes its identity over time.
Right, and the VA theory,
Right.
where V stands for vector and A stands for axial vector,
Mm-hmm.
that helped physicists understand the very nature of this force. It was a major breakthrough.
It really was. And while this theory is incredibly complex,
Yeah.
it ultimately connects to the everyday world.
Yeah. How so?
Well, think about it.
Okay.
Radioactivity is all around us.
Oh, that's true.
From the potassium in our bananas to medical imaging techniques.
Exactly. That's amazing. So it shows how this very theoretical physics
Yes.
can actually have these far-reaching implications
Right.
in our lives.
It bridges the gap between these abstract concepts and tangible reality.
It's really cool. And yet,
Yeah.
despite this major contribution and many others in quantum optics,
Right.
he was repeatedly overlooked for the Nobel Prize.
Yes.
Yeah. The textbook highlights the 2005 controversy when many physicists felt that he deserved to share the award for his work on quantum optics.
Yes, it's a reminder that even in science, recognition isn't always guaranteed.
Right.
And sometimes brilliant minds they're unfairly denied the accolades they deserve.
It's a shame. His work in quantum optics,
Huh.
particularly his contributions to the theory of lasers,
Right.
has had such a profound impact on
Absolutely.
technology.
Lasers are everywhere.
Yeah.
From barcode scanners to surgical procedures.
Yeah, it's incredible when you think about the theoretical foundations.
Right.
That made all of that possible.
It really underscores how these seemingly abstract scientific concepts
Yeah.
can lead to these tangible real-world applications.
It's like this chain reaction.
Yeah.
From theoretical breakthroughs to technological advancements
Yes.
that shape our lives.
And the Nobel Prize controversy actually ties into this broader point that Sudarshan often made
Okay.
about the challenges of scientific recognition.
Okay.
He was particularly critical of what he saw as a lack of ambition
Okay.
in Indian scientific institutions.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more about his critique. What were his concerns?
Well, the textbook quotes him as saying that despite the hype
Yeah.
surrounding some of these institutions,
Mhm.
he rarely saw any big ideas coming out of them.
Mm.
He felt that many scientists were content with run-of-the-mill problems
Yeah.
and they lacked the drive to push the boundaries of knowledge.
That's a bold statement. It really raises the question, how do we foster an environment
Right.
that encourages scientists to tackle the big questions?
Right.
to really challenge the status quo
Yeah.
and make groundbreaking discoveries. And that's a challenge not just in India, but globally.
Right. It really is. And while he was critical of this lack of ambition,
Yeah.
the textbook also highlights some really insightful advice that he gave to students,
Oh, okay.
emphasizing the interconnectedness of physics.
I love that. It's so easy to get lost in the specialized silos of modern science.
Yeah.
But seeing those connections between different areas
Right.
is where true understanding lies.
He said that a true physicist should be able to see the link between something as mundane as the melting of ice
Right.
to the behavior of subatomic particles.
Wow. That's quite a thought, to be able to recognize those patterns across such different scales,
Right.
of reality.
He used this wonderful example of blue butterflies
Okay.
and hibiscus flowers
All right.
to illustrate his point.
Okay.
He talked about how the butterflies are attracted to a specific shade of blue
Right.
in hibiscus flowers.
That's interesting.
And he was suggesting that the butterflies must have some innate understanding of spectroscopy
Interesting.
to be able to differentiate those colors.
It's a really beautiful way to illustrate,
Right.
those hidden connections that are just waiting to be discovered
Yes.
in nature.
And it all ties back to his belief that true understanding comes from seeing those connections,
Excellent.
from finding the links between these seemingly disparate phenomena.
Yeah, it's a call to action.
Right.
For all of us, scientists and non-scientists alike,
Yeah.
to embrace that curiosity
Yeah.
and seek those deeper meanings in the world around us.
It's about recognizing that the world is full of wonders,
Yeah.
both big and small.
Yeah,
And there's always more to learn, more to discover,
absolutely.
if we just keep asking why.
Yeah, asking why.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a reminder that even in these seemingly simple things, there's a universe of complexity just waiting to be explored.
It's about maintaining that childlike wonder, right?
Yeah.
And speaking of which, the textbook highlights how Sudarshan himself
Okay.
maintained that wide-eyed curiosity
Right.
throughout his life.
Mm-hmm.
He even got into this friendly debate
Okay.
with another renowned physicist,
Okay.
Robert Oppenheimer.
Oh, wow. Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
The father of the atomic bomb.
Yes,
Quite a pairing.
it is.
What was the debate about?
Well, it centered around Sudarshan's idea
Yeah.
that light could behave as both a wave and a particle.
Right. The wave particle duality,
Yeah.
like one of the cornerstones
Right.
of quantum mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a revolutionary concept back then.
It was a revolutionary concept.
Yeah.
And Sudarshan wasn't afraid to challenge that
Yeah.
established thinking,
Yeah.
even when it came from someone as influential as Oppenheimer.
That's impressive. That says a lot about
Yeah.
his intellectual independence, right?
Yeah.
And his willingness to pursue his own ideas,
Mhm.
even when they were unconventional.
Right.
He wasn't swayed by
Yeah.
authority or reputation.
He was a true pioneer.
Yeah.
And this leads us to another key concept
Okay.
from the textbook,
You right?
the development of the Glauber-Sudarshan P representation
Okay.
in quantum optics.
Okay. I'll admit that sounds a bit intimidating.
It does sound a bit intimidating, right?
Yeah. Can we break it down a little bit
Yes, absolutely.
for those of us who aren't quantum physicists?
So imagine you're trying to describe the ripples in a pond.
Okay.
You can talk about the height of the waves,
Yeah.
but what if the water is also swirling in these complex patterns?
Oh, right. Right.
The P representation gave physicists a way to capture those swirling patterns
I see.
in the pond of light.
Ah, that makes it much clearer. So it's like
Right.
moving beyond that simple wave-particle duality
Yes,
to a more nuanced understanding of light's behavior.
precisely. And this representation has had a major impact
Okay.
on our ability to manipulate and control light
Right.
for technological applications
Like lasers.
like lasers.
That's so fascinating.
Yeah.
How these seemingly abstract
Yeah.
mathematical tools
Hmm.
can have such real-world consequences.
It is. It's the beauty of science, isn't it?
Yeah.
Turning theory into application. Now, the textbook shares this thought-provoking observation
Okay.
from Sudarshan
Right.
about the changing mindset of science students.
Oh, interesting.
He noted that in his early days as a researcher,
Yeah.
it was considered a privilege
Mm-hmm.
to work on any problem
Right.
in physics.
So a sense of gratitude,
Yeah.
for the opportunity to explore these mysteries.
Exactly. And he contrasts that with what he perceived as this shift
Yeah.
in the mindset of some students today,
Okay.
where they sometimes lack that inherent drive
Right.
and rely on others to tell them what to study.
It sounds like he's worried that they've lost that
Yeah.
intrinsic curiosity,
Right.
right? And the satisfaction of discovery through their own effort.
Exactly. He emphasized that students today have access to far more resources
Right.
and a higher level of scientific knowledge than ever before.
That's true.
But he questioned whether they were producing work of the same caliber.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Do you think it's possible that maybe having too much structure and guidance could actually stifle creativity and innovation?
It's definitely something to consider, yeah.
Yeah.
He seemed to advocate for this balance,
Right.
between providing the necessary tools and fostering that independent
Right.
spirit of inquiry.
That sense of ownership,
Yeah,
over the problems that you're tackling.
exactly.
So important.
And it brings us back to the theme of education.
Yeah.
It's not just about accumulating facts.
Right.
It's about cultivating this way of thinking, this way of approaching the world with curiosity
Yeah.
and a desire to understand.
It's about empowering students to become lifelong learners, right?
Yeah.
Not just passive recipients of information.
I couldn't agree more. Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
there's another gem in the textbook that I wanted to share.
Right.
Sudarshan recounts this story
Right.
about his time at the University of Rochester,
Okay.
right after his time at TIFR.
Oh, so this is a new chapter in his career.
Yes.
What happened at Rochester?
Well, he found himself in this unexpected situation.
Oh,
He was suddenly responsible for 10 graduate students
10 graduate students. Wow.
because the senior professor he was working under
Yeah.
was unavailable.
Oh my gosh. That's quite a responsibility.
It is.
How did he handle that?
He embraced it. He describes it as one of the most memorable years
Wow.
of his career.
Yeah.
The textbook mentions how he made himself available to the students at all times,
Wow.
even giving them his home phone number.
That's dedication.
He went above and beyond.
He did.
And he talks about the intense discussions
Yeah.
and debates they had.
Right.
How each student brought their own unique perspective
Right.
and challenged his thinking.
It sounds like the ideal learning environment.
It was.
The true meeting of the minds.
And he even highlights
Okay.
one student in particular,
Yeah.
Mukunda,
Okay.
who he describes as phenomenal.
Wow.
And he really admired his willingness
Yeah.
to point out flaws
Right.
in his logic.
That's so valuable.
Yeah.
To have that critical feedback,
Yeah.
that willingness to question assumptions
Yes.
can really push you, to refine your ideas and deepen your understanding.
And Sudarshan seemed to really relish these intellectual sparring matches.
Yeah.
He saw them as opportunities
Right.
for growth and refinement of his own ideas.
It really speaks to
Yeah.
his humility and his understanding that knowledge is this collaborative process.
Right.
It's not about being right all the time. It's about being open to
Yeah.
different viewpoints and constantly pushing the boundaries
Yes.
of your understanding.
It's that willingness to learn and grow from others
Yeah.
that truly sets apart. The great minds.
Absolutely. And in a world of,
Right.
of increasing polarization,
Yeah.
right? And these echo chambers,
Yeah.
that ability to engage
Right.
with different perspectives
Right.
is more important than ever.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing
Yeah.
the value of diverse viewpoints and the richness that comes from engaging with ideas that challenge our own.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, I'm curious what stands out to you the most about Sudarshan's story so far? What really resonates with you personally?
His unwavering commitment, to pushing the boundaries of knowledge, even when he was faced with setbacks or controversies. It's truly inspiring.
Yeah, it is.
And it makes me think about the source material itself.
Okay.
Here we have this textbook,
Right.
designed to inspire young minds in India, and it features this extraordinary figure,
Right.
who challenged conventions and made such significant contributions to physics.
It's a powerful message, isn't it?
Yes.
About the potential for scientific discovery, to come from anywhere.
Right.
regardless of background
Yes.
or geographical location.
Sudarshan's story reminds us that science is this global endeavor,
Yeah,
fueled by curiosity and a thirst for knowledge.
absolutely.
It's not confined to elite institutions or specific regions of the world.
Yeah, it's a testament to the power of education, to
Right.
inspire and empower individuals
Mm-hmm.
to make their mark on the world.
And speaking of making a mark, the textbook also mentions Sudarshan's involvement
Okay.
in establishing the Institute of Mathematical Sciences in Chennai, India.
Oh, wow. So he wasn't just this brilliant theorist. He was also actively involved
Yeah.
in building institutions to
Yes.
support scientific research.
So he was putting his ideas into action.
He was, yeah.
He served as the director for 5 years
Okay.
and was instrumental in shaping its focus on interdisciplinary research.
Bringing together mathematics and various branches of science.
Yes, it was this visionary approach,
Mhm.
Recognizing that interconnectedness of knowledge
Yeah.
and the value of collaboration across disciplines.
It's like creating this fertile ecosystem
Yeah.
where ideas can cross-pollinate
Yes.
and lead to new and unexpected insights.
I love that. And it's fascinating to consider this.
Yeah.
In light of his earlier critique of Indian scientific institutions,
Right.
he wasn't just complaining.
Yeah.
He was actively working to create a better environment for research.
Yeah, he was walking the walk.
Right.
And that's something I really admire, It's one thing to point out flaws,
Right.
but it's another to actually work towards solutions.
It's about being an agent of change.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
And I think that's a powerful message for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
We can all contribute
Yeah.
to shaping the world we want to see,
Yeah.
even in small ways.
Yeah, it's about taking ownership, right?
Yeah.
And not being afraid to challenge the status quo
Hmm.
when you see something that needs to be improved.
Now, as we wrap up our deep dive
Yeah.
into the extraordinary life of ECG Sudarshan,
Okay.
I want to circle back to something he said that really resonated with me.
Right.
He talked about how, for a true physicist,
Mm-hmm.
nothing should be outside their scope of inquiry.
Okay.
He used the example of the melting of ice,
Okay.
saying it's a far more complex phenomenon than most people realize.
Yeah, it's easy to take the everyday world for granted,
Mm-hmm.
but there's often this hidden depth,
Yeah.
even to the simplest of things.
He said that a physicist should be able to connect their knowledge of quantum mechanics
Yeah.
to explain why water behaves the way it does, why ice melts the way it does.
It's that ability to see the connections,
Right.
to recognize the patterns
Yeah.
across those different scales of reality.
And I think that extends far beyond
Right.
the realm of physics.
Yeah.
It's a call to approach the world with this sense of wonder,
Mm.
to never stop questioning,
Yeah.
and to always seek those deeper connections.
It's about cultivating that
Yeah.
intellectual curiosity
Mm-hmm.
and allowing ourselves to be surprised by the beauty and the complexity of the universe.
What a beautiful thought.
Yeah.
So as you go about your day, we leave you with this.
Okay.
What everyday wonders in your life spark your curiosity?
Mm-hmm.
What deeper connections are waiting to be discovered?
Yeah.
Take a moment to look closer,
Right.
to ask why,
Yeah.
and to revel in the interconnectedness of it all.
Because the more we understand, the more we realize how much more there is to learn